Welcome to this shortwave radio channel, and this is another video talking about the shortwave spectrum, megahertz by megahertz. What can we expect to hear? Well, we're going to talk today of 20 to 25 megahertz. So 20 to 25, sorry, 20 to 21 megahertz. So that's another megahertz spectrum where it's mostly what we call fixed mobile stations. So this could be anything can pop up in there, anything from, some military stuff to some civil air patrol stuff to all sorts of, unusual signals. Through the years, I've heard things in there, and of all sorts, including unknown CW signals. I've heard a lot of, probably what are fishermen or different types of weird communications coming from different countries that you're wondering just what they are, two-way communications of all sorts. I believe I've heard some military activity in here at some point when the propagation was there. So 20 to 21 megahertz is whatever can happen is probably happening. There's no major broadcast band in here. There's no amateur band in here. The only signal that a lot of you might have heard on 20 to 21 is the WWV signal on 20 megahertz, because WWV does use 20 megahertz. But apart from that, if you just look at it, the band itself, it's mostly different types of signals. If you look at frequency lists, I've seen a lot of civil air patrol communications. I've seen a lot of logs of signals from different countries. If you look at numbers and oddities, and if you look at utility lists across the shortwave spectrum, you'll notice that there's a lot of communications that are kind of put in there in different countries, and lots of two-way talk and military of not just the United States but Russia and different countries around the world. I know that there were at some point, and I don't know if it's still valid, some Canadian military activity that would sometimes happen in this frequency range. So I don't know if that is actually something that has, over the years, kind of changed. But, it's really dependent on propagation. Maximum usable frequency isn't going very high lately, so a lot of the times this band doesn't have a lot activity on it. But do listen. You might be surprised to hear stuff. Of course, in having a single sideband receiver is the best thing to do, because most of what you'll hear there that will actually appear on the bands is really single sideband type signals that will be decoded using upper sideband for the most part. And like I said, I've heard a few CW mysterious signals pop up here and there. It's definitely a megahertz range that is very, very, and I would say that it's seldom scanned by a lot of people, but it is one of the rewarding places where you can be surprised at the types of signal you'll hear, and it's very rewarding when you hear something that you just wonder what could that be actually. So 20 to 21 WWV is one signal that I heard on 20, and of course out of Colorado, and there's pretty much everything for the rest of the band is a mishmash of all sorts of signals from different organizations around the world. When propagation, of course, helps us listen to these signals. If you enjoy our videos, please subscribe, give us thumbs up, and hope you enjoy this series, Megahertz by Megahertz.